Hey everyone, welcome to SF Garnish Music Production and the Garnish Music Network. My name is Justin and we're here for West Coast Wednesdays, every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be talking about how to stay inspired and continuing working on projects and refining them, keeping your inspiration alive. There's a lot of times when you're working within your DAW, you're like, man, I'm a guitarist or I'm a singer. Like, why am I spending so much time with technology? You know, why am I doing so much computer work, you know, counting the promotion of your band or your work plus the recording and analyzing of tracks. It's just a lot of computer time. So we're going to kind of talk about how to kind of keep your inspiration alive and just have a lot of patience to succeed with what all these tools are out there for you to succeed it with. So here we are with Ableton Live 11 Suite. If you don't already have it, you may have a different DAW such as Logic or Pro Tools or FL Studio. Those all work. My preference is Ableton. I've been using it for over 20 years here. And I just like that it just has unlimited capacities. If you ever get stuck with inspiration, there's always a new feature or a new way of looking at how you want to go through doing a song. So a couple things we're going to go through today is just how to stay inspired. And I have a few main topics. One of them being song creation, right? How do you keep creating songs? So idea, whether it be starting with your drums, your melody, your lyrics, or ideas taken from a different song that you kind of reproduce yourself. Another one is making your setup easier and more efficient, dialing your digital templates, your racks, your custom effects, or your hardware. Feeding all of the different parts of yourself, the different creative outlets, right? So whether it be the styles and genres that really, you know, make you feel alive, it's really about what emotions you're trying to connect with and how to find that in your flow, right? If you end up spending a bunch of time trying to tackle Ableton or your digital audio workstation, and you come out kind of feeling more empty, it's going to be hard to have that energy to produce your music. You want to kind of stay alive while doing this work with your. That today will help you out a little bit. This template right here that I have set up is something that helps me stay inspired. I have everything right here organized into all. I have my effects all, and then I have my order. The order of the track allows me in arrangement view to then make markers, right? And expand this out to whatever length and then color code it, right? To be any color, and then even naming that something. So renaming this verse, for example. And you can go through this and really kind of get the general feel of how your song is, right? Just by looking at it. So as you can see, if you're also doing overdubs, right? There was a guitar intro possibly, and then this kind of goes into a different feel. So I wanted to mark those. I'm just going to go ahead and delete these two for now. People that are just starting off on this digital audio workstation, Ableton, it's pretty daunting to see all these lines and, you know, what things mean. And little things like this area right here, right? And you see all these lines in between. That means that those are all tracks that you can expand out just by clicking this feature right here. Okay. So all of your tracks can expand. So as you are learning your digital audio workstation, I'm not going to get too much into the details today, but I will just do a quick overview just so we're not entirely lost while I'm talking for the next hour here about how to stay inspired. So we're going to be in session view, which is this grid, right? So every time you go down, it's going to be a different part of the song often, and it's named in your master list here. And you can also see, you know, which tracks are engaged for different areas, right? And then you have arrangement view, which this is where we tracked all of our vocals. So if we wanted our vocals in session view, we'd have to copy and paste them over. The great thing about session and arrangement view is you can easily just take a part, copy it, and paste it in. It's as easy as that. All right. So In arrangement view, you can easily see all of your waveforms and how loud the different parts are. If anything is standing out as being louder, you can essentially take your waveform by clicking in the bottom right-hand corner, and then decreasing it by this function right here, right? And just bringing it down to a more in-between level. So you can do that per area right here. All right, so this is a song that was created with a melody and guitar part simultaneously. Kind of the lyrics kind of followed suit pretty soon after. But the first topic I'm going to talk about is song creation and the different ways of starting a song. You can either start with a drum track, and often that can just be beatboxing or mouthing the effects that you want and recording that to a click track, and then emulating that with either sampled drums or digital drums that you create, or having somebody track that, whether it be yourself or someone else. Another way is a melody. You can just kind of create, always having it with a click track helps out eventually. Your first time through doesn't necessarily have to be that. But if you have a click track, then you can kind of start, overlaying your other parts more easily. Some people start with lyrics and then kind of creating a vibe from the lyrics. That's really a hard one for me personally. I often start with just syllables, and then the lyrics kind of flow after I hear the melody and the rhythm around it. So, but if you ever get stuck, you can always try a different way of starting your song, or even your template, right? Maybe instead of starting with your guitar, start with your beat instead, or start with your bass. The next thing I wanted to mention is making your setup easy and efficient. So dialing your DAW. So what I've done here, which is what I was just started to explain, is having my group tracks really making sense, right? So my all drops down here, everything's in there. I have my rhythm tracks, nice and cozy, grouped together, vocals, drums all. Then I have a few extra tracks here that I was working on, and then my effects all. And it looks like a lot of these aren't even being used yet in our track. This is just a template. So to kind of clean this up, you can go ahead and just select, right? I went from the top one right here, click on that, press the shift button, click the bottom, and backspace or delete. And you can clean that up. So another way to stay inspired is to track on a loop. So you can really just, track for a good 5-6 minutes straight over a 6-bar phrase. And then this is a new feature in 11, by the way. Let's go into our rhythm all and show this. So this is a guitar lead. Let me show you this really quick. And I tracked this over a loop, and then I picked out the best parts. And the way that I did that is I selected, right-clicked on the track, and I said, show take lanes. Once again, this is only in the Ableton 11 or above, most recent. And you can see all the different sections that I've selected of all the different takes that I took right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my returns off so we can see that a little bit better. Minimize my master track down. All right, so we're pretty much looking at all of our takes of this track, and then you can see that kind of the highlighted areas are the ones that were chosen and brought up to this automatically. This happens automatic. And one feature you want to make sure that you do is press the B for draw, and anything that you draw over will then be brought up there. Another feature you really want to make sure happens is that Command 1 or Command 2 is in place, because as you do Command 1 and Command 2, it increases the divisibility of your grid, right? So sometimes if you're in this larger, if I keep going Command 2, I can't actually just do half of this. It does the entire piece, right? So just something to consider there. All right. So this is something that helped me stay inspired, is that my guitar part was created through many guitar parts, just this one little phrase. Here we go. And then you can see here that I used the specific phrases in between the vocal parts to kind of expand out the lead. And then at the very end, I was going to put another lead in right here toward the end. And I actually really liked, there was a lead down here at the bottom I didn't use with held notes that I was able to put in for the ending part.
Oh, what is a disaster? Perhaps there's a master plan.
Master plan.
Opportunity to break it down. See beyond where we've come from. What is lost? What is found?
The rhythm is around me just before I breathe. Let the rhythm come and feel the grounding. I listen for the vision of the taste and feeling.
So what's great is that this was done in the 6/8 part, so it has a specific feel, right? So when I get back into the 4/4 feel, this lead takes on a different kind of overlaying. I am still at 92 BPM the entire time, so that's the important part, is that you're in the 92 BPM. I'll just play this last lead where I'm playing over a 6/8 feel bridge, and then I put that 6/8 feel bridge over the 4/4.
Sustain our way. As we find ourselves again, it's at the beginning of the end.
Can you see me, mama? Let the rhythm come through till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama? Feel the ground, feel the lights as they turn to beams. Oh, can you see me, mama? For the vision till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama? Raise my glass and my tears till they turn to laughter. The rhythm and tears till they turn to laughter. Till they turn to laughter, then my tears 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 till they turn to laughter.
All right, so I'm just taking this extended line out, and there's just certain features that could really change up how you hear what you played, right? Is just press the R after you select something, and it will reverse the track. So this is an opportunity where I can kind of build up a part. Maybe I'll put that in to build into this other area. So let's try this out.
Oh, can you taste that feeling? And my tears till they turn to laughter. And my tears till they turn to laughter. And my tears till they turn to laughter. And my tears till they turn to laughter.
All right, we kind of want to put that at our climax, maybe.
And my tears till they turn to laughter. 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 And my tears.
So really just one guitar part here can really extend out quite a bit of effects. So I did a reverse by pressing the R function to reverse the track of that area to do that build up. What I'll do here is just have these kind of blend more together. And you never know what's going to happen, but you might as well try. All right. So there we have just some simple ways of taking your track and really kind of making it different than how you actually heard it initially, right? I just had a clean guitar, put some different returns on it. You can see those, especially in this view, the returns stand out really strong. I have a lot of reverb. A, B, and C are different reverbs, small to large, and then also delays, D, E, and F. This is also part of my template that I set up so that when I come into a session, those are there and ready for me. All right. One more thing I wanted to do, because I liked that reverse part, is just typing in reverse up here. And we have anything reversed. This is a plugin that's a convolution reverb, I believe. Or convolution reverb pro. Anything reversed, yep. So this is something that I will just drop right onto the guitar track. And I'm actually thinking that I might not want this on the exact guitar track. I want it just panned to one side. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this guitar lead. Let's go ahead and say guitar electric lead so we know. Command D is going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to make sure that in my bottom right-hand corner, hopefully you guys can see this. Yeah, okay. Here now you can see this since I moved my face. And I'm on this top one here. I don't want my reverse on the top one. I want that just clean. And on the second one, I'm going to bring this back in volume. So this right here is our volume. This is something that's super small looking in arrangement view. If you look at it in session view by clicking tab, the volume of this it's a lot easier to see and manage right here, right? And seeing the contrast of guitar lead. And then this is the reverse. So the reverse effect. And what I want to do is pan my reverse effect just to the right and reverse effect 100%. Let's just see how this sounds. Working on the EQ. Kind of gets thin when I take out this frequency around 300. Something to kind of realize too. I put my headphones on backwards. This is a good test as well. Making sure that if you go right, it should come across the right side. There we go. Headphones are on the proper way. You can start customizing, how big the room is. Let's listen to that together now. Notice how I put the REV up here just early in the title, just so we can kind of see it better. If you don't do that, you sometimes can't see the difference, right? You can also color code, right, the contrast of the different tracks, so you kind of know this is different now. All right, so now we have kind of this double lead going on, and we have one panned to the left that has more of the reverse. I'm going to pan this a little bit to the right.
As they turn to till the end of my day.
As we find ourselves again, it's at the beginning of the
Till they turn to laughter. Can you hear me, mama? Let the rhythm come. Leave the race till the end of my days. Can you hear me, mama?
All right, so we have that reverse kind of expanding out kind of the room ambiance a little bit.
It's a disaster, calling us to step up and be kind. Take the reins of my mind. Find
Little reverse there.
Find some ground to wail on. Find the strength to move on. All undone. Oh, what is a disaster? Perhaps there's a master plan.
Master plan.
Opportunity to break it down. See beyond where we've come from. What is lost? What is found?
All right. So just some ways to kind of keep the creativity alive after you have a track that's, been pretty much, I tracked in this area, right? We have our looping, my loop was turned on here, and I was in record mode. Let me just walk you through this. And I just literally pressed record and played through, and it creates lanes for you below now, right? So that's a new feature in Ableton 11. And then after that, now we're talking about mixing different effects, panning wise, and then also getting into more of all of this good stuff over here. Just taking that same track and putting it in the little holes that we want, and the build up at the end of the track. This track actually doesn't have the drums, the official drums on them yet. We're still adding that really soon. But what I was able to do, and this is to kind of keep the inspiration alive, so let's look at the drums all. So as you can see here, there's actually quite a bit of drums in here, right? If you listen to any part of it, it's just a basic carbon kit that just kind of keeps that swing feel alive. I also have a gourd drum, and I added in kind of a snare that rolled. And once you have a loop that you like this, this is actually something that you can easily export the MIDI clip, right? And you can actually make this as part of your offerings, right? So something that I like to do is bring it in here. I believe I already did this with this track, so let's just double check. I'll go in here. Organization is super key to keep the inspiration alive, right? Because you don't want to just lose the stuff that you have. So sounds, packs. No, these are the actually spliced stuff that's already there. I'm going to go into Justin Sounds. All right, MIDI clips. And I have a clave bell. And this one I can call this as 6/8 Justin. Purdy Shuffle is kind of what I was emulating. And this is 92 BPM. If you don't put the BPM in here, sometimes when you have a full drum kit, it can sound really bizarre if you speed up too much or slow down. So it's just nice to know that when it happens. The other thing you want to watch out for is that this is already grouped, right? All right, so there we have a couple of the drums. Let's just go ahead and solo the drums here for a sec. So we have a little bit of the hand percussion. And essentially, I was able to kind of put enough feel in to where I could feel good playing the guitar and the chords over top of it. I did start off with the guitar and the vocal template to a click track. And I knew the feel that I really wanted already, right? So this is really important, that if you put down a guitar track, you don't quite know the feel that you want, you're going to have trouble just laying a drum over the top later on. So sometimes you might want to start making sure there's a solid drum track underneath, even better than just that click in your ear, right? Because it really has that feel of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, instead of that constant 92 BPM click track. All right. So a couple ways there to listen to the drums. Let's go on to the bass track here. This is actually the bass-a-lele. It's a ukulele bass. And one thing that I personally want to mention is that this is a vocal. It says JA vocal on the top of it, right? But I actually have a custom rack that I've already created for the bass-a-lele. So this is something you can do for yourself and save you some time and keep your inspiration alive. Let's go to custom racks and ukulele bass rack. There it is right there. Let's put it on the end of this chain. Looks like it looks pretty similar. But let's go ahead and take this one off for now. We don't need to actually turn it off entirely. And put this one on.
The connection.
So that's with this ukulele bass. That's with it off. Let's go to the JA vocal. Looks like I boosted by 8 dB on this one, so it's coming in stronger. But this one might be a little bit warmer. I'm gonna back that off just a little bit, 6.5, the dB and a half down. I like using the knob, but I do like just putting that number directly in sometimes when I know I want to drop exactly by a dB or a dB and a half. You can just do the math and put it right in. So now this is ukulele bass rack. It's already called that because I brought it over here. You can always save it again and say ukulele bass rack for specifically a song, this Grief and Praise song, the new one from Honey the Heart. Or just keep it as the bass rack. You know, you don't want to have too many racks in your collections over here. Otherwise, it's just going to be just as hard to find stuff as if you were down here, you know, in your audio effects, right? The goal of having these collections is to easily find things just whoosh, in these categories. So we have our bass rack here. custom in, and I boosted this by 6.5 dB in our utility at the end. I'm going to bring that back down to 0 by doing that manually, or you can double click it and it will always go to that center area. You can also select the tracks and then boost the gain of those tracks. One benefit to doing this, let's say I do 6.5, is that you can see the waveform a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to actually do that instead.
See me, mama, grieve and praise till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama, through the years? Feel the lights as they turn to tears.
Pretty funny. I'm actually noticing that my volume on this is literally down by 6.4. So the irony of your gain staging, right, is you don't really want to do a bunch of work over here and then just like do the opposite work over here, unless it's purposely having an effect that you want in compressing your track or distorting your track. If you really want distortion, you probably want to use an amp instead of gain staging, because what you're doing essentially with gain staging is you're clipping at some point to make that distortion. Yeah, so go into your effects and find your amps to do that. Let me just show you where that is really quick. So this is actually new in Ableton. It's nice and organized here. Sometimes you don't know where amp is. So now that you're in there, type in amp and it shows you then, oh, okay, they have one in utility and one in drive and color. Let's see if it's something different in all these. Amp simulation, basic heavy. All right, so there's a couple different amps here. I'm not sure if I'm going to last all the way till 12, you guys. I have a cold I got from my little daughter, so I'm going to do the best I can. All right. So let's say we want to put a little bit of a grungy sound. Dirty amp space. Dreamy amp space. And then you can kind of see that by bringing this up over here. And I really like this new feature too of these kind of like timestamps, right, of certain setups that you've done here. So you can easily switch between them and test things out. I'm going to highlight an area, Command L. Just A/B on and off. Click in a new variation. I'm going to right click this and say JA grief and praise. So I know that this is the sound that I'm kind of customizing here. Anything that I change over here, I can just then click that little camera right there and it will update. Let's see how that sounds.
You see me, mama, grieve and praise till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama, raise my glass, tend my tears till they turn to laughter. Tend my tears till they turn to laughter.
Next we integrate and make the connection.
I do like that kind of that grungy sound. Reminds me of some old tracks that I really appreciate. All right, so we were talking about making your setup easy, right, with your DAW. And like I said, grouping your tracks accordingly, having your sends and returns set up, having your custom racks organized. So all of your custom racks, I have different sounds here that I really like. I have a beatbox vocal rack versus a regular vocal rack, ukulele, guitar preset, etc. Even a didgeridoo rack. Also, for keeping really creative, you can actually come in here and have your keys organized to where sounds that you really like can be just brought in really easily in here. All right, so let's go ahead and try this out. I honestly don't think that that's going to work with our track. So sometimes you might want to just come in and find other stuff. I have other instruments over here, and big brass, Big Band Essentials. This is actually something that you can download. I believe Big Band Essentials is something inside Ableton that I did purchase. But if you haven't already, you should definitely download all of the extras things that are free from Ableton. Okay, and the way you do that is just go into your packs right here. And these are all packs within Ableton. There's 11 updates supposedly. Builds and drops, chop and swing. Mood reel. Pretty cool, but huge, 4.5 gigabytes. Jeez Louise. So I'll do a couple of these right now and just see how this is. Drive and glow. So having the right tools in front of you really can help change things. Electric keyboards. Look at this, 7.8 gigabyte upgrade. The electric keyboards is definitely something that I suggest that you grab. I believe it is free once you have the Ableton 11 suite. Looks like there's 20 packs available. All right, I'll try and do a few of these. So like I said, having the right tools at your fingertips so that you're not really focused on creating a brand new sound if it's already created, right? Being able to go onto Splice and use samples quickly. One example of that is It's a River. It's a Honey of the Heart song, which is one of the bands I'm in. And I wanted some outside nature birds with some reverb. And instead of me going out to the birds in the water outside, which luckily exists in our neighborhood, and wrestle with the noises around that I don't want, such as like the freeway off in the distance, I went right onto Splice and found some clean tracks. Some were super long, like 4 or 5 minutes, and picked out the exact bird noises that I wanted. And then I went in and put them into the track. I'll give you guys an example of that by just playing that track for you guys. So let's go ahead and just search for this. Honey of the Heart artist, and It's a River. So notice the water noises. Right. So instead of me going out and recording that water noise, I was able to just grab that water noise and then put the reverb on it. Also, part of our drums is put in there where we wanted some kind of bowl drums over water, like splashes.
It's a rhythm.
And instead of going out there and having to mic that up ourselves, we went in and found those samples and then put them onto a drum rack so that we can then play it the way we want. So let's see if these birds can come out as well. I'm going to go to the end of the song now so you guys can hear it. Looks like I just was doing some panning of the water, going from the left to right and then right to left at the very end there. So just an example of using samples instead of having to go out into the field and creating your own. And creating your own is super cool too, and being able to offer that to other people There's sampleswap.org where you can grab a bunch of samples and not even have to have any registration or pay any money if you don't want to. It's all donation based. And then you can also support others by uploading your samples, right, and giving back to the community that way. I really like SampleSwap for that matter. It's been something I've been using for probably over 10 years now. And I say the content is, up there with the content of Splice, which you have to have a membership of like $8 a month or something to do that. All right. Looks like Loop Master was brought in. So part of staying inspired is to get some new things in here. And let's go ahead and just try and bring them into the track, right? If you're feeling stuck at all, the goal is to try and get unstuck. So let's just go ahead and listen in here. All right, that's sound by sound construction kits. All right, looks like we can actually open these up. And this is another way to get inspired too, is going into other people's sessions and kind of feeling out, right, how their session went. So I'm not sure if I'll get into that today, but definitely want to check out that in the future. Let's go ahead and get into our brass and mallets or strings. I literally have a bunch of marimbas outside, but it is nice to have something already in here that just kind of makes sense. Looks like on this track already, we don't have anything named as melody yet, right? We just have our drums, our vocals, and our rhythm. So that's something that I'll probably bring maybe my guitar into eventually, my guitar track. But for now, I'll just put this in Command-Shift-T. I select the track and it puts the MIDI track just below it. And okay, so I have a push 2 in front of me, and I'm going to go into the scale of the song, which is D minor. It's already set up for that. Okay, let's go ahead and play this a little bit. And I can't even really hear this enough because everything is so loud. Boost the volume here. Let's go ahead and put a signal chain of mastering effects. And I like, I guess a rack, custom rack would be good. And most of these look the same as what's inside of them, right? It has EQ, compression, just all the basic stuff. And then from there, I can kind of tweak it into what I want. So let's just go ahead and see this vocal beatbox. Putting that at the end of our chain. And all right. Let's just not engage any of these for now. Taking off all of our EQ and our gain structure up a little bit. All right, so now we're ready to do a little bit of tracking on a new instrument. I'm going to go into my preferences and change this to 128 samples, right? This is my latency buffer. This will allow me to track with a little bit more ease. Okay. If you're at a higher sample rate, it's going to be more difficult for you to stay in rhythm because there's just going to be so much lag time. So you want to change that sometimes, especially when you have so many tracks like this. Let's see if my computer can handle this. Right now it's already at 35 because I'm streaming out and using OBS as well. Let's see what happens.
First we grieve and let go hard.
Great. All right, so far so good. It's working out. Try and record with that. And let's see here. Yep, I am in the record mode. There's a couple different ways you can do record to where you can record multiple tracks. This right here, exclusive arming, I have engaged so that I can't accidentally record over something else. So it just has one record at a time. You can always press command and like record multiple still, but it just switches that up for you. All right.
First we grieve and let go hard honestly. When first we grieve, then we tap into what we truly need.
The rhythm is around me just before I breathe. Let the rhythm come and feel the grounding. Listen for the vision of the taste and feeling. For the mother's happy, we are always listening.
It's a disaster.
Breathe and praise till the end of my days.
It's a
Oh, can you hear me, mama, through the years? Feel the lights as they turn to tears.
All right, so notice how I got up to 65 on my usage, and it's peaking there quite a bit. And something we want to do is we could freeze tracks so it doesn't use the CPU if that was an issue, but I think I got enough of that. So I'm going to go in here and change this up. You're not going to have too much of this problem unless you are having tracks as complex as the ones that I'm doing here. It also has, I already have a mastering isotope plugin. Things like that really take extra CPU. So you can also disengage those things as another tactic. So here's our track we just created.
First we grieve and let go hard honestly. When first we grieve,
Changing my EQ here now to be specific to this instrument.
and let go hard honestly. When first we grieve, then we tap into what we truly need.
The rhythm is around me just before I breathe. Let the rhythm come and feel the grounding. Listen for the vision of the taste and feeling. For the mother's happy, we are always listening.
So really just having the exact parts you want. Copying that over to wherever you want now. Copy that. Kind of curious if that kind of fits over our 6/8 portion now. somewhat. Not totally excited about that, but maybe we can kind of put some of our delays on. Listen to that again.
Oh, it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
All right. So just being able to put a little bit of your effects on. You can also put it directly onto the channel, right, by dragging it over to this area. And if you do like it together, you can then save this, right, as your new rack. You can actually select the first one, Command A, selects all of them, and then you can press Group, Command G, and check this out. It makes it nice and contained, right? And if you want your different macros, you can then add them in right here to change your color, etc. So this instrument rack, now that we've customized this, right, this is going back into keeping our inspiration, right, is save your work so that when you have a marimba sound you like with the extra effects, marimba JA01, it's my initial, and then I can put this right click into my instruments area, marimba. All right, you guys. So there's a couple things that we were doing in Ableton just to stay creative with this song. And I didn't really get into starting from scratch yet with something. And I think I'm going to do that at a different date because I'm not feeling too good myself. Not too hot. I was considering not doing today, but hey, it happened. My name is Justin from SF Garnish Music Production and the Garnish Music Network. And I have a little bit of a cold today. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice or not, but still hung in there doing the West Coast Wednesdays, every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're just finishing up here on Staying Inspired. We're in Ableton, and we're continuing working on projects to refine them, keeping the inspiration alive, talking about song creation, the different ways you can start a track, whether it be with drums, melody, lyrics, or ideas from other songs that you like. We also went into making your own setup more efficient and easy by dialing your DAW, creating your templates, your racks, your custom effects, and hardware. I did want to say that if you like the template that you're working in, you can always go File, Save As Template. Let me just go back to sharing my screen here so you guys can see what's going on. So I went in here, I said File, Save As Template, right? And I would save it, put it into your folder that you know where all of your saved templates are, and do this in a fashion that it'll actually save the template with all these tracks on it. But once you come back to it, you can then start fresh, delete the audio, and start with a new song with all of these new instruments. It's a great way to save your work that you've done in one song and utilize it for a whole new song. Instead of having to bring in your racks and your custom instruments again, it's maybe just start with the sounds that you already like and you already know so well. And that goes into the final part, which is feeding all of yourself, right? And that's really talking about the emotionality of music and why we're doing this, right? If you're just sitting in front of your computer and you're typing away, right, on your DAW, you really want to keep that inspiration sticking to what style am I going for? Go back and reference the music you like. Try and match the sounds of that music, right? Maybe purposely try and create something fresh and brand new, but really just staying fresh within yourself and having the patience to succeed. That's the final part here. So I hope this helps out. We're here every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're ever wondering how to go through all of our hour sessions of 2021. I think we have over 20 of them now since we started doing this in February 2021. We have a playlist. You can go to the Garnish Music Network. You can go to our YouTube pages, our Twitch, and our Facebook. I believe that our YouTube pages are the ones that have the playlist. So look for the West Coast Wednesdays, live at 11, for example. And we were doing actually multiple days per week, but currently it's just down to me on Wednesdays. So if you look back, that there's actually more videos on some amazing, amazing people talking about amazing things. Mike, I believe down in LA, one of our teachers down there, I've been listening into his hour-long sessions, just talking about operator and mono sequencing, and it was super helpful. There's always something new to learn, no matter what level you're at. If you know something in and out, I feel like I know Ableton in and out. There's always a new way and a new tactic of going about your workflow and ideas, because it's ever expanding, right? One thing that I really am encouraging you to do is try and master a workflow, and then try and get some ideas, and don't be afraid to reach out to other people and get some feedback on what their workflow is. If you want some feedback like this, we have online and in person our Beer and Beats every Tuesday in the Bay Area. Our Beer and Beats meetup is happening. If you're not in the Bay Area, you can join us online via our Zoom. I'll try and put some links in, but look up Beer and Beats on meetup.com and you'll find us. And it's an opportunity to meet up at Soul Graffiti Studios and SF Garnish in North Oakland, or meet over Zoom and share your music, talk shop, share ideas on everything from like home studio, best setups, how to mix and master, and just get tidbits of information like that. If you want to take it to the next level, we have our short courses, which are 18 and 36-hour courses, into our producer program and our academy. Our short courses last about 6 to 12 weeks, our producer program about 6 months, and our academy up to a year to 2 years to go through. It's essentially a trade school. So once again, go to the Garnish Music Network, go to any of our locations worldwide. We have 8 locations worldwide. We're the SF branch where I'm streaming from. And we're here to help you with your digital audio workstation, working with sound design and how to mix and master. You can not only save a bunch of money doing this yourself, but also stay inspired and create the music you really want to create. A lot of the time when you collaborate with other people, you kind of have to mold it into what their style might be, which also has their benefits too. So that's it for me today. It looks like I did make it to 12 o'clock. It's 11:59. I'm going to sign out while listening to this track we're working on. This is Grief and Praise, or Disaster, a new track from Honey of the Heart. I will sign off and see you guys next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Then we tap into what we truly believe.
The rhythm is around me just before I breathe. Let the rhythm come and feel the grounding. Listen for the vision of the taste and feeling. For the mother's happy, we are always listening. Oh, can you see me, mama, grief and praise till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama, through the years? Feel the lights as they turn to tears. Oh, can you see me, mama, grief and praise till the end of my days. Oh, can you hear me, mama, raise my glass, tend my tears till they turn to laughter. Tend my tears till they turn to laughter.
Next we integrate and make the connections between. Next we integrate, then we get down to what this all really means. It's a disaster.
Hear me, mama, through the years. Feel the lights till they turn to turn to laughter.
Ciao, ciao for now.